Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk, and thank you for tuning in. First on the docket, Lori Vallow is not being released. Second, a Florida man accused of killing his wife found because he took his phone with him and it was pinging. Third, will the COVID-19 be the death of professionalism in the legal field? And yes, our dumb criminal contestant of the day. I should say dumb criminal contestants, because there was so much material out there today. We've got 3 for you. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk, and thank you for watching. If you have not already done so, we would ask that you please hit that little subscribe button, hit that little bell so that you receive notifications of when we put up new content. And as always, leave us a comment. We do read what you have to say about everything that we talk about. First on the docket, Lori Vallow is not being released. Yes, there's been an internet rumor going about that Lori Vallow would be released because of the COVID-19 scare. Now, this rumor began by a British tabloid that rhymes with fun. Needless to say, there is no truth or validity to the story / rumor at all. The sheriff's office, specifically the Madison County Sheriff's Office, has specifically said no one in their jail is being released because of the COVID-19 virus. And they've also said that they have not released anyone because of the COVID-19 virus. And they certainly are not going to be releasing Miss Vallow unless somebody posts her bond. And for those of you who do not know, she has a $1 million bond. She has another bond reduction hearing set for Friday afternoon, where her attorneys will attempt yet again, for now a third time, to have her bond decreased. As we've stated before, bond reduction hearings, you have to show something new other than simply the passage of time. Nothing's new. The attorney has tried to say in his new pleadings that he is unable to meet at the jail because of the COVID-19, and it just doesn't provide the privacy that he needs to prepare, and this could be dragged out a while. Guess what? That's life. Welcome to the life of a criminal defense attorney. I know that her attorney is not one that necessarily holds himself out as a criminal defense attorney, but anybody who has done that has spent many long hours and days and evenings at the jail, reviewing discovery with a client, explaining the case, coming up with a strategy, all in the jail. It happens all the time. She's not going anywhere because of COVID-19, and I think she's not getting a bond reduction on Friday, and we'll wait and see. Let me know what you think. Do you think she should have her bond reduced? Next on the docket, a Florida man is alleged to have killed his wife, and they found him in Las Cruces, New Mexico, taking a little walkabout. So David Anthony, 43, originally from Florida, is being held at the Dona Ana detention facility in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Now, I love the people of New Mexico, and you can't find better green chili anywhere than in New Mexico, all right? But Las Cruces is not where most people go to vacation at all. And Mr. Anthony is charged with the death of his wife. Now, for those of you who also are not familiar with the geography as it relates to Las Cruces, New Mexico, it is right on the Mexico border. So, for example, let's say if you had potentially, allegedly, killed your wife and you wanted to leave somewhere, the El Paso, Las Cruces area is a good place to do it. Or maybe you're on your way to California, perhaps. Needless to say, Mr. Anthony was located because they were able to determine that his cell phone was pinging off of cell phone towers in the El Paso and Las Cruces area. Like I said, not a whole lot to see down there. I had a case in Las Cruces, federal case. When we actually took off of El Paso, my phone would come up and say, "Welcome to Mexico," as we were making our turn out. That's how close it is to the Mexico border. You can literally, it's right there. So one would think that perhaps Mr. Anthony was headed south of the border for sure. Now, what evidence do you think that the police have to say that Mr. Anthony is responsible for the death of his wife, Gretchen Anthony, who is 51? Well, they have not found her body, but he is the prime suspect because although they're married, they're going through divorce proceedings. Now, the friends who live next door to Gretchen's home say that they heard a woman screaming, "No, no, it hurts," the same night that they believe that Mr. Anthony's truck was over at her house. Where it gets even more bizarre is that the police allege that Mr. Anthony sent text messages on Gretchen's phone to family and friends saying that she had contracted the COVID-19 virus and was going to the hospital. And at one point even stated that she was texting from her bed while she was on a ventilator. I'm not a doctor, but I think that that's pretty unlikely that you're using your phone if you're on a ventilator, because I think there's stuff shoved down your neck and you're probably having trouble breathing. So needless to say, the police think that the text messages were sent by Mr. Edwards in an attempt to throw people off and buy him some time. Additionally, they have video at a nearby medical center where Gretchen's vehicle drives up. A white male, tall white male, gets out of the vehicle and walks away. Coincidentally, Mr. Anthony is 6 feet 7 inches tall. So makes one suspicious why he's driving her car as well to a medical center where she's not there. But wait, there's more. Inside the house, the police found bleach stains on the garage floor. Rags and bottles with various cleaning items were left out on the kitchen island. Towels were in the washing machine that appeared to have a red blood-like substance on them. And finally, a cadaver dog displayed a positive indication on a particular location in the garage. As stated, they were able to find Mr. Anthony because of his cell phone. We've talked about how cell phones can be tracked anywhere, literally in the world, and whether you're using it or not, as long as it's turned on, the police can find it. Now, maybe Mr. Anthony has reasonable explanations for all of these coincidences that seem to come about. Perhaps that wasn't his truck. Perhaps there was no blood-like substance at the house or bleach, and the police are completely fabricating it. Who knows? Why was he driving from Florida, where he resides, to New Mexico? Perhaps he needed some green chili. I don't know. Like I said, I love the people of New Mexico. Las Cruces was going to be my home for nearly a month in a federal trial until it resolved at the last minute. But I spent a week there one night. There's not much to do. The place closed down early. The restaurants, although fabulous, shut down early. You just don't go there unless you're kind of passing through. People in New Mexico, Las Cruces, I love you. Great green chili. But it's not a tourist attraction for most people. Let me know what you think. Do you think the police have the right person when it comes to someone who is a suspect as it relates to her disappearance? Or are these just coincidences that look rather poorly? Or are these coincidences that just look really bad for Mr. Edwards at this time, with a reasonable explanation that can be had for all? Next on the docket, is the coronavirus going to be the death of professionalism as it relates to the legal community? I don't know. I have had a real problem with the professionalism of attorneys showing up for court for a long time. Now, normally when I go to court, always when I go to court, I wear a suit. When you wear a suit, you wear a tie. Only because we have no court am I not wearing a tie, but at least I have on a sport coat here today. But we have judges these days that show up with their robes without a collared shirt on. We show up with judges that don't zip up their robes in some courts. Wouldn't happen in federal court. Although I take that back. There was one judge in federal court that doesn't like to do that. Not so much anymore. I think somebody talked to him about it. That sense of professionalism carries through in the courtroom. If basically the judge doesn't care about it, his attire in the courtroom, because it kind of sets the whole presence for the courtroom, it carries forward. And I get it. District attorneys, public defenders, they're in the court all day, every day, sometimes, and so they like to be more casual. But I'm in the courtroom all the time as well, and I still wear a suit. I still put on shoes. I would love to go to court with shorts and flip-flops, but that would not be a professional attire. Frankly, that would not show respect for the proceedings. And not that you have to dress up to look important, but I think it sets the tone for how the proceedings will be run. It sets the tone for the dignity of the proceedings that are going to take place. So, in the age of coronavirus, things are starting to take place on video. A Florida judge by the name of Dennis Bailey wrote to his local bar association to let everybody know that first, he hopes that everybody is feeling well, and let them know that the court system is moving forward in light of the coronavirus, and new technology is there so that we can move these proceedings along. But he noticed a little bit of problems as it relates to people showing up in court. The courtroom decorum has gone down. Now remember, even if you are on a phone call with a judge, you still say, yes, Your Honor, no, Your Honor, at a minimum, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. That's just the way it is. Even if you don't like the judge, you still say that out of respect for the position that they hold. Anyway, this judge goes on to discuss the fact that he's had individuals show up for these Zoom telephone conferences where they didn't bother to wear a suit. One attorney, male attorney, did not bother to even put a shirt on. And a third female attorney didn't even bother to get out of bed, and apparently then tried to put on a swimsuit/beach cover-up so that she could conduct the rest of the hearing outside of her covers. Maybe if you were ill, that's fine, but that is just not appropriate. And I don't want to sound like a snob, but we in court are dealing with people's lives. We are dealing with their futures, their money. It matters how everyone conducts themselves. If you conduct yourselves in a professional manner, the proceedings will be conducted professionally as well. I get it. It's a whole new world. Casual Friday is every day. We're probably one of the last law firms that doesn't have a casual Friday because me, along with the attorneys in my office, are always in court. We're going to court, or you may go to court even if you don't think you're going to court, because that's how quickly your day can change. Frankly, when I meet a client, unless it is on a Saturday or a Sunday at my office, I normally apologize for not being in a suit on the weekends because I don't like to wear suits on the weekends. But I wear it during the day because it shows that I take their matters of great importance to them seriously. And I don't expect everyone to show up for a suit when they come to see me. Frankly, they don't. Most of my clients show up in whatever they're wearing. Hopefully they're coming from work, which is even better. But maybe I'm old school, and I think attorneys are some of the last people that wear suits anywhere. I just hate casual everything. And so hopefully the Corona-19 virus will not be the end of professionalism. And frankly, in a tight job market, you may actually see people dressing up again to perhaps impress their boss and to show that they take matters seriously. And like I said, I don't care what people wear, but I think that when you go to court, I tell clients you don't have to wear a suit, but you should look presentable when you go to court. It doesn't go unnoticed. If you look like you've just changed the oil on your car, what you're telling the court is, A, there was an emergency and you had to change the oil on your car, or B, you just don't take these proceedings that seriously that you would bother to even try to present well. Now, I've had clients over the years who have asked, how should you dress for court? And I said, well, with this particular judge, you may want to dress like you're going to church with your great grandmother. And I've had them show up that looks like something like they're going to go out and party on a Friday night. And I said, I thought you were going to dress conservative. She's like, I am. This is what I would wear to go to church with grandma. Okay, that's all they have. But they're making an effort, and that goes a long way versus I've had people show up with slippers, literally a bathrobe once. And not because he didn't want to be there in a bathrobe. He wanted to be there in a bathrobe to show his disrespect for the court. But it got him nowhere. It's the little things that matter when you go to court. Next on the docket, our dumb criminal contestant of the day. Now, our first dumb criminal contestant, the rule that we have learned here, well, there's so many rules that we should learn, but the first one is, no matter how rich and famous you are, do not tell the police officer that you have effed his daughter and that his wife is pretty. That definitely makes the whole encounter kind of go downhill. So our first dumb criminal contestant, and who knows, maybe Playboi Carti, Playboi Carti, Carti, may actually be the one that actually claims his mug. We'll see. So according to police reports, Mr. Carti was arrested in Clayton County, Georgia last week. And the cops allege that the young rapper, Playboi Carti, was mouthing off big time when a sheriff deputy pulled him over and smelled the odor of weed. Now, according to police, Mr. Carti started out with a very poor attitude from the beginning. Apparently, the deputy asked Mr. Carti to get out of the vehicle, and he had a poor attitude right away. And he allegedly told the officer to just go ahead and take him to jail and said he didn't even care anymore. Now, the police began conducting a search, officer safety reasons. And the deputies say they found drugs and guns inside Carti's Lambo, specifically marijuana, Xanax, codeine, and oxycodone, as well as 2 handguns. Carti had a pal with him, apparently, and both were arrested. Once the arrest was made, the trash talking wasn't quite done yet. That's when Mr. Carti told the officer that he effed his daughter and that he had a hot wife. And then he said he didn't really give a damn about his exotic sports car because he would just buy another one anyway. Now, get this. Obviously, Mr. Carti was arrested and booked for, yes, that heinous crime, driving with expired tags. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a gateway crime. If we allow people to drive with expired tags, next thing you know, they'll drive without a license. And the next thing you know, they're robbing banks or carrying guns and drugs. We can't let this happen. And thank goodness, these police officers in Georgia were there to do it, to stop these gateway crimes from occurring. And it couldn't have been just to harass a young black man driving a Lamborghini, I'm sure, because there's nothing more important going on in the world these days that we have to pull over somebody for expired tags. In most jurisdictions, you get a 30-day grace period as well, so I'm not even sure why they would even waste their time doing that. Mr. Carti was also charged with less than 1 ounce of marijuana. Is that even a crime anywhere in the world anymore? And failure to pull over. Now, Mr. Carti, this is another teachable moment. if you're going to have guns and drugs, because they complicate everything, do what Mr. Carti does. Have your friend, who probably doesn't have as much going for him, take the heat on the guns and drugs. So, Mr. Carti gets smart criminal award points there for that, but dumb criminal points for mouthing off to the police officer. Had he simply said, "Thank you, officer, I was not aware that my tags were pulled over, and no, that is not the odor of marijuana that you smell. I don't know what that could be," things probably would have gone a heck of a lot differently. But when you let your ego get in the way, Mr. Carti, you have been nominated for the Dumb Criminal Contestant of the Week. It's not like an MTV Music Award or a Grammy or anything, but you got to admit, the mug is pretty cool. And Mr. Carti, if you actually claimed it, I'd maybe have one made special just for you. Next on the docket, specifically our continued Dumb Criminal Contestant of the day. There are some dreams that friends shouldn't make happen. Specifically, we have a case in South Carolina. And a man by the name of Michael Charles, along with his girlfriend, Michelle Fleming, live in Spartanburg County in South Carolina. They describe themselves as friends with benefits, but are not officially in a relationship. Well, Charles has a friend by the name of Brian Alden. And apparently, Mr. Alden was called to the house of Michael Charles and Michelle Flemings because apparently Brian Alden had a lifelong fantasy to be involved in a threesome. So apparently they came over, they did what they were going to do, but then things kind of got a little weird. And they asked Mr. Brian Alden to leave. He went outside, was a little upset, maybe a little hurt, but then ultimately they decided to go back inside even though they were feeling a little weird about the situation. Like, who wouldn't? And apparently Mr. Brian Alden couldn't quite perform like he had before, and they said, you know what, maybe it's just time for you to leave. And now instead of just leaving, Michael Charles and Brian Alden managed to get into a fisticuff that started in the house and continued to the outside into the yard while the police actually arrived to witness the fight in progress. Mr. Brian Alden had a head wound that required 12 stitches. Although Mr. Alden stated that he was not going to answer any questions, he stated that he was the victim and he was the one that was hit in the head with a hard object. Mr. Alden, even though your friend tried to help you out, there's some things you just don't do with friends. And clearly this left everyone feeling a little weird, and I don't think you guys are going to be friends, nor do I think that you're going to be invited over anytime soon. But Mr. Alden, you are our Dumb Criminal Contestant of the day. Contact me, Scott@ScottReisch.com, and we will let you know if you won. Now for our last contestant. And you know, we had a little bit of conversation about stay-at-home orders yesterday. Well, apparently in Ohio, they too have a stay-at-home order. A beauty shop owner in South Euclid, which is a suburb of Cleveland, apparently put on her Facebook account that her nail service was basically open for business and she would step out of quarantine for old friends and new clients. People have to get their nails done. People have to get their hair done. I haven't had a haircut in a month. I'm going crazy. As my drill instructor said, geez, Reich, if that hair gets any longer, pretty soon you're going to be smoking dope and bad-mouthing your country. That's how bad it's getting, people. So these people in Ohio, they understand, all right? Anyway, a looky-loo neighbor called in a report and said there were people being snuck into the back room of the beauty room salon. When the police arrived, there were apparently 3 people in the store. No one, according to the police report, actually getting their fingers and toes done. And they weren't given a ticket. Oh, no, no. They've been reported to the health department. Now, the lady, the cosmetologist, one of the 3 people there, may get a license suspension or a slap or a fine or something along those lines. But nothing criminal is probably going to happen to these people. It's civil fine. Because why? We've talked about this. It's an executive order. But our dumb criminal contestant is, in fact, the cosmetologist. Why, you say? Because if you're going to break even a stay-at-home order, an executive order that doesn't carry the full force and effect of a criminal offense, at least in most jurisdictions, don't advertise it on Facebook. And for that, my young cosmetologist, you are our dumb criminal contestant of the day. We wish all 3 of these contestants luck in being selected the winner of the dumb criminal contestant of the week, which will come on Friday. Thank you for watching. We appreciate all that you do. We appreciate that you take the time to watch us. We know there's lots of things that you could be watching on YouTube or spending time with your family or working from home or not working from home because everybody's been laid off and nobody has any work. So we appreciate you taking the time to do that. Have a great day. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.